Hello and welcome. My name is Brandon Rawls and I'm an AV technician with the Oakland County Courthouse. Normally, I maintain the video recording systems for the Oakland County Courts and provide technical support for its staff. But today, I'm going to give you a brief tour of the Oakland County Courthouse here. The Oakland County Courthouse dates back to 1820, 200 years ago, in Pontiac, Michigan. A judge at the time described the log cabin building as lacking a floor, a door, and a chimney. In those 200 years since, you can see things have changed. The current courthouse started construction in 1960, and since then, multiple additions have been made to the building, the most recent being the West Wing expansion behind me, being built in 1994. So with that, I'm going to start the tour by bringing you into the north lobby of the courthouse, where we'll meet Sheriff Bouchard.
Hi, how are you and welcome. I'm Mike Bouchard. I am the Oakland County Sheriff, and welcome to the Oakland County Courthouse, getting this virtual tour at home. This is a place where justice occurs, where the scales of justice are determined and balanced, and decisions are rendered by judges in the court of law. The sheriff protects this courthouse. We have amazing women and men here that make sure everyone that comes for whatever reason to this building is safe and secure in an environment to have their case or their issues heard, to have their services rendered here. The sheriff is actually one of the few constitutional officers as it relates to law enforcement. We're the only one in the state of Michigan which is actually articulating the Constitution, and it's similar to that around the country, where sheriffs are elected directly by you, the people, to protect your rights under the Constitution and to make sure you get your justice. So welcome to the Oakland County Courthouse. Come visit in future days in person. We hope that will be in the very near future, and we hope you enjoy the tour.
Sheriff, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And Deputy, could you introduce yourself and your partner?
Hi, I'm Deputy Craig Pesco. I'm with the Oakland County Sheriff's K-9 Unit. This is Brig. He's one of two patrol partners that I have.
Okay. And then what is your role here with Brig?
Well, we like to assist with the court deputies here with security on site. Also, if there are any suspicious packages or whatnot, our dogs can use their fine sense of smell to let us know if there's anything dangerous or illegal in them.
Okay. And how long have you been here with Brig?
Brig is going to be 9 at the end of the month. I've had him ever since he was 5 weeks old.
Just take a close shot of Brig here. All right. Well, deputies, thank you very much for your time.
Take care. Bye.
Now, as we finish walking down the first floor hallway towards the east side of the building, we'll be coming up to the probate counter and the probate court area of the building. We have 4 probate judges and over 20 judges on the circuit side. We'll meet some of them later, but as we walk down the probate counter hallway, we'll come up to the chief judge of the probate area and we'll talk to her. Judge Ryan, if you could introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Judge Kathleen Ryan, and I am the Chief Judge of the Oakland County Probate Court.
And where are we in the building right now?
Right now, we are at the probate counter. This is where the individuals come in and file their paperwork. They get their orders. They can get assistance from our clerks. And we have different lines for guardianships and conservatorships and estates and trusts. So this is pretty much where the cases start, okay, or any type of assistant.
All right, and then should we take a look at your courtroom?
Sure.
All right. All right, so we're coming into courtroom 1F, and Judge, this is your courtroom, correct?
Yes, I am courtroom 1F, and here it is. This is the gallery where the individuals and litigants and public observers sit. The jury box is to the left. Attorneys generally sit up in these chairs, or people with handicap accommodations, which is why we widened this area, this hallway. We had to make the benches shorter so that we can accommodate wheelchairs and walkers and things of that nature, because there's a lot of elderly and disabled individuals for the nature of probate, which I'm sure you'll hear about momentarily. My clerk sits at this station. The clerk is the individual that starts the hearings, calls the hearings, assists the court, and gives the files. Obviously, this is where I sit during the hearings. And then to the right of me is the witness box. And this, they come on in and they sit here, and then they are the witness. And if you notice, my courtroom's a little bit different shape than any courtrooms you might have seen. Because my bench is so high, I have to look through a little monitor here so I can see the face of the witness, because otherwise I'm looking at the top of their head. So with wonderful people in our data tech department, they all accommodate us to make the configurations of each courtroom work.
And Judge, could you briefly explain, some of the matters that are heard in probate court?
Sure. Excuse me. Probate actually covers, first of all, we start with decedents' estates. Individuals who have passed away, and they have to have their estate probated in order to disperse all of the beneficiaries and the heirs their inheritance, or pay the administrative costs and other debts. We have trust matters, decedents matters. We also do adult guardianships and adult conservatorships. Those are cases dealing with individuals who are legally incapacitated and are unable to make or communicate informed decisions for themselves for various reasons, whether it's cognitive impairments or mental illnesses or traumatic brain injuries or Alzheimer's. It's also to protect their property because they can't accurately make proper decisions for their property, and the assets could be wasted or dissipated if they weren't under the conservatorship. We also cover minor guardianships and conservatorships for children under 18 when, for example, their parents have either passed away or they're unable to care for their child for various reasons. Could be something because they have health issues themselves or cognitive impairments, or it could be because they needs their own mental health treatment, or it could be because, for example, they travel for work or they're in the military overseas. The minor conservatorship cases cover cases for minors who actually receive money while they're a minor, whether it's through an inheritance or a personal injury case. We also handle the developmental disabled docket, which covers for anybody who has a developmental disability that originated prior to their 22nd birthday and is expected to continue till indefinitely. Something along the lines of perhaps somebody with Down syndrome or a non-functioning autism. And the ranges of the guardianships can be full or limited, because the whole purpose of a guardianship is to give the individual the most independence as possible, but to have somebody step in and make those decisions when they're unable to do it. And finally, we also cover the mental health docket. People who have either undiagnosed mental illnesses, or possibly they do have a mental illness diagnosis, but perhaps they're not on their medications and they're acting erratically and they need to have some type of hospitalization to stabilize and get the proper treatment for them. And then finally, we also do cases, they're considered kind of like contract cases under a trust matter or a decedent's matter or even a guardianship or conservatorship, where it'll be kind of it's under a suffix of CZ, where they will attach to the trust case or to the conservator case. And it's almost like a lawsuit within a lawsuit. But that is a general overview.
All right, great. Thanks, Judge. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Now, as we leave the probate court area of the building, we'll be heading downstairs to the juvenile court, and we'll be meeting with the manager of that area there, Scott Hamilton. So let's take the stairs down to the first floor and continue the tour there. All right, we're now on the ground floor still, coming from the clerk's office, and we're going to go to the juvenile court. While we're there, we're going to say hi to Scott. Hi, Scott. Could you introduce yourself?
Hi, Brandon. My name's Scott Hamilton, and I'm a manager here in the Oakland County Juvenile Court. The Juvenile Court is part of the Family Division.
All right, and what is this office that we're in here?
This is the intake department. All our petitions come to this location. We receive them from parents and from school districts, and we also receive them from police officers.
And Scott, I believe you're going to give us a tour of one of the referee hearing rooms, so we're going to head upstairs.
Sounds good. Let's go right upstairs, one floor. This is a hearing room. We have 8 juvenile court referees in Oakland County. A referee is a lawyer who specializes in juvenile law, has gone through a rigorous interview process, and has been appointed by the Chief Judge of the Oakland County Circuit Court to serve as a hearing officer for juvenile cases. And our 8 referees hear 3 different kinds of cases. They hear adoption matters, they hear juvenile crime, which we call delinquency, and they also hear child abuse and neglect cases in this room. So they do the trials right here with the families and the lawyers who represent the parties in the case.
All right, great. Well, Scott, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
As you've noticed, our speakers have not been wearing masks during their interviews. That's purely for the benefit of the camera shots and for the benefit of this video. During normal circumstances, we'd all be wearing masks and adhering to social distancing guidelines as detailed by the state's orders. All right, so now as we're coming up to the clerk's office, we're going to talk to Lisa Brown, the Oakland County Clerk. Clerk Brown, could you introduce yourself?
Well, as you said, hi, I'm Lisa Brown. I'm the Oakland County Clerk and Register of Deeds. In Oakland County, the Clerk and the Register of Deeds are 2 combined offices. They were combined decades ago. They are constitutional offices, and basically both jobs are both keeper of the records. So in the Register of Deeds, we have all property records, and on the clerk side, we have legal records for our circuit court, as well as vital records, everything from birth to death, everything in between. You can apply for your marriage license here, your CPL here, and then of course I'm also the head election official for the county as well.
Great, and I think we'll talk to you a little bit later about the elections department.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Now, it may be difficult in this video to get a sense of the spatial surroundings of the building here. So as I'm walking back from the clerk's office, we are on the ground floor. The next stop on our tour will be up on the 5th floor, so I'll be taking the elevator up there. It's just like any other elevator, nothing special. Now, as we exit the elevator to the 5th floor of the courthouse into the public hallway, the public hallway has plenty of windows to give you some excellent views of the surrounding area of Pontiac and Waterford.
Well, welcome to the tour of the Oakland County Circuit Court room. Right there you can figure out that this is my courtroom because I got a nice little placard above there. And then you come in through this door. Come on in, folks. Don't be shy. We come in, and right here you can see that we have benches, and this is where the members of the general public sit. Or parties or witnesses, etc., who are waiting for their cases to be called. You can see we can accommodate a fair number of people there. When we have jury trials, our jurors are initially sat there, then we do jury selection, and when they're selected for the jury, they go into the jury box. You can see that we have 14 seats for the jurors. That's because if we have a criminal case that's going to go a little long, we want to have a couple of alternates. If we have a shorter case, we might only have 1 alternate, and if it's a civil case, you only need 6 jurors. Interestingly, in a criminal case, all jurors who sit need to agree with a unanimous verdict to render a verdict. If you have alternates, they are removed at the end of the case. So 12 would go into the jury room, which I'll show you in just a moment, and they all have to agree. Or in a civil case, the rule is a little more flexible. They don't have to have unanimity. They can render a verdict of 5 out of 6 people. So when it's a civil case, there's a lot of empty chairs, and when we have a criminal case that's going to go a long time, we have up to 14 seated. Here, this is called the bar, and it's called the bar for a specific reason. Unless you're a party or a witness, you're not supposed to go past the bar unless you have passed the bar. So the bar is the exam that lawyers have to take to be licensed and be able to argue in a courtroom. So it's called the bar exam, and the reason it's called that is because there's this bar here. So you can see we have a bench, and again, that could be for parties or lawyers that are waiting for their turn. And then we have what we call counsel tables, and we have 2 of those because normally each case has at least 2 parties, a plaintiff or a prosecutor, and defendants on the other side. It could be a criminal defendant or a civil defendant. And you see we have the chairs for a lawyer and their client. This is a lectern where when they address me and I'm on the bench, they will come up here. You'll see that we have these microphones, and they're kind of scattered all over the courtroom, and that is because we do not have a court reporter. You might have seen a court reporter on TV or in a movie, and that's someone that's like typing as the words that people are using. We don't have that. We have a video courtroom, so I have cameras mounted on the walls, and we have these microphones to record what's being used. When I'm in session, I have clerks who help me call the cases, deal with the parties, etc., and they work here. It's a little kind of a confined space. It looks a little space age-ish, just a little bit, and we can accommodate. We have 2 clerks. I have a secretary. I have a staff attorney, so we can shove them all in here if we have a case that requires their presence for some reason. If a case is called and I need to take testimony, either in a trial or in an evidentiary hearing, the witness will come here, and they step up to this box there, and they sit down there, and we close it, and then they testify from here. So I can see them, the lawyers can see them, and the jury can see them. That's the whole idea. Now you have to follow me, because the way my courtroom is set up, you'll have to come around and follow me into the corridor, very exciting, which usually only lawyers and staff can go into. And we go into this corridor, and then we come over here, and this is how we get into my bench. So you see I have a little hallway here all to myself. It's my private little hallway. Notice that we have the American flag. We also have the state of Michigan flag, because it is a rule of court that we must display our state flag and our national flag at all times. You'll also, I forgot to mention, over there is the county flag. That green flag is the county of Oakland. We're very proud of Oakland County as well. So we have the 3 flags. I also have, you might have guessed, I am a fan of the Declaration of Independence. So I have the beginning of the Declaration of Independence there, the seal of the state of Michigan, and then I'm also very excited that we had Patriot Week recognized many, many years ago by the Michigan State Senate. This was the first one that got recognized, so I've displayed that. I have what I consider to be the best bench in the nation. Most people do not have a setup like this, so this is not representative of what people see or use, but I like to call this the Star Trek Enterprise Bridge. For those of you that are Enterprise fans or Star Trek fans, you'll see that I have it's very sleek. I have a floating monitor and a floating keyboard and mouse. And I'm an e-filing judge, so I don't use a lot of paper. You have to use some sometimes. But when I sit, I have a very clear view of the courtroom. Some judges have monitors that are on top of the table or on top of their bench, and therefore it kind of obstructs the view. But I don't have that problem, thank goodness. And then I have other assorted goodies, but most of what I do is on the computer, which helps me keep track of what testimony is going on and arguments that are being made, etc. Most of the kids like the gavel. So here's my gavel. This was given to me by the Oakland County Bar Association when I became a judge. And normally when I'm doing a tour, I have the kids hit the gavel block. And that's very exciting. I don't actually do this very often. You'll see Judge Judy, she smacks this thing like every minute. I've probably used it, at the time we're recording this, been a judge about 17 and a half years, and I've probably hit the gavel about 5 times. For people that get really crazy, I have my war hammer. Now, that's a joke. They don't get to use, I never use the war hammer. It's just up here because I think it's really another kind of cool gavel. Every judge has their own little eccentricities that are displayed on the bench. This is where I sit. Sometimes I stand. I'm a stander, as you can tell, but I will sit or stand in the course of a trial or motions or evidentiary hearings or other matters that come before me.
So as we head back down to the second floor for the next part of our tour, I just wanted to briefly explain some of the oversight of the court systems. The circuit, probate, and juvenile courts are all overseen by the Michigan Supreme Court and the State Court Administrative Office. They also oversee many of the district courts throughout the state. All of the courts work closely with the Sheriff's Department, Probation Office, Treasurer's Office, and others. Many of those I won't have time in this video to show you. Now that I've come off the elevator, we're on the second floor and heading back over to the east side of the building. That's where we'll be heading over to Courtroom 2F. That is where Judge Julie McDonald is. And that's the next stop on our tour. All right, so coming into Courtroom 2F, we are going to talk to one of the judges on the family courts bench. Judge, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Julie McDonald. I'm one of the family court judges.
And could you tell us a little bit about the family court?
Family court was started sometime in the late 90s. It's part of the part of the circuit court, but we hear cases that affect family matters. So as a family judge, I hear divorce cases, custody cases, paternity, support. Also, we hear abuse and neglect cases, juvenile delinquency, adoption, personal protection orders, name changes, and any other matter that might affect families.
And could you give us a quick tour of your courtroom?
Okay, my courtroom, it's similar to other courtrooms, but we've got the 2 counsel tables. We have the benches behind you where the people waiting or witnesses, support people, other people, anybody from the public can sit in the back there. My clerk sits right here. One of my clerks will call the case and assist me while I'm on the bench. The judge sits here. This box over here, this is the witness box. Witnesses will testify from here. That I believe at one time was a court reporter station, but now everything is on video. So sometimes my staff attorney, which is an attorney who assists me with the legal matters, she will sit out here sometimes during motion calls or hearings. And then we have the jury box. We don't have too many jury cases in family court, but juvenile delinquency cases would be one where a juvenile is entitled to have a jury trial.
Great. Judge, thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you.
Next up on our tour is the jury assembly room. Now that's on the complete opposite side of the building. So while I'm walking, I want to take a minute to speak a little bit more about the coronavirus crisis that the whole world and locally the court system has been dealing with. Now, since early March, we've all been working remotely as part of the governor's stay home, stay safe order that she issued in early March. Now, during this time, the judges have been hearing cases still, and we're doing that by way of remote video appearances on a platform called Zoom, which, if you're a student watching this, I'm sure you're pretty familiar with. You may also notice that the hallways are still empty now at early September in 2020. That's because most of our staff is still working remotely, and the building is mostly closed to the public for safety concerns so that we don't spread this virus around unnecessarily. So now we're coming down a stairwell back down to the first floor of the building. You'll notice that we kind of have to weave in and out of floors to get anywhere in this building. That's because this all wasn't built at the same time. The west side of the building was an expansion that wasn't here 40 or 50 years ago when the courthouse was built. And this is Karen. If you could introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Karen Wentz. I work in court administration. My role is one of support to the judicial staff and judges. Today we're in the jury office right now, and in a few minutes we're going to head into the jury assembly room.
All right, we'll get this in there. Okay, and could you explain what this room is and what it is used for?
So we're in the jury assembly room. As you can see, it's just full of lots of tables and chairs. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, this room is completely filled with jurors. And to serve on jury duty here in Oakland County Circuit Court and Probate Court, you would need to be at least 18 years old, you would have to be a United States citizen, and you would have to be a citizen of Oakland County. And the Secretary of State has a database that has our driver's license and state IDs, and that's how the jury office will get people to come in for jury duty. Once the jurors come into the jury office, they actually will be scanned in. They'll get a fancy little barcode, and then they will report here to the jury assembly room. At that time, one of our judges will come down and welcome our jurors and thank them for their service. And then at some point, they may be randomly selected to leave the jury assembly room and head up to one of our assigned judges from either the circuit or the probate court to serve as a juror. And they begin the jury selection process, which we refer to as voir dire. Now, what some people don't realize is, as a juror, you serve just as an important role as our judges and our attorneys. Our Constitution guarantees every American citizen the right to a fair and impartial jury trial. That's a big deal, and you get to be a part of that. Hopefully one day you'll have an opportunity to come down to the Oakland County Circuit Court and serve as a juror on one of our cases here. Thanks for visiting us today.
Thanks for your time, Karen. So since we are on the west side of the building here in the jury assembly room, we're going to cut across over to the elections division and speak with Clerk Brown again. Now, she's going to show us how the voting machines work in Oakland County. Now, the Oakland County Clerk is responsible for overseeing the elections through the elections division of the county. And if you've ever watched election night coverage, this is where all of those vote tabulations come from, where they, estimate the vote totals and they call the election for the various candidates running in those elections.
So we're going to talk a little bit about voting. First of all, you do not have to wait until you're 18 to register to vote. As long as you will be 18 by the next election, you can register to vote. So you might be 17 and a half. Now, when you do get to vote, make sure that you use a blue or black ink pen when you're filling in your choice. And we have boxes next to our choices. Make sure you fill in that box. We don't want to see check marks or X's. We want to make sure that box is filled in. And check the back, because there might be races on the back as well. Make sure you read through your whole ballot. And when you're done, and normally this would be in a privacy sleeve, so other people around wouldn't be able to see your choices, but we're just doing this for demonstration purposes. So you put your ballot in, and honestly, you could put it in upside down, backwards, it doesn't matter. The tabulator will take it, and then you're going to wait and see. Your vote has been recorded. Thank you for voting. When you see that, you know that your ballot has been counted.
So for the last part of our tour here, I'm actually going to be getting in my car and driving us over to the building where the friend of the court resides. That's a totally separate process, just about a mile or two down the road. So I'm going to head out to the parking lot and we'll continue the tour there. Okay, we're coming through the doors here at the front of the court, and this is Suzanne, who works here. Suzanne, could you introduce yourself and explain where we're at and what the function of this building is?
Sure. I'm Suzanne Hollier, and I'm the administrator of the front of the court in Oakland County. We are often called the eyes and ears of the circuit court. We investigate and make recommendations regarding custody, parenting time, and child support. We manage about 50,000 cases for the circuit court. We have a staff of 19 referees. We have custody and parenting time specialists, and we have paralegal staff who prepare child support investigations and recommendations for the court. So we have a very large staff of about 150 people, and we handle a lot of administrative matters for the circuit court.
And we've just come up to Referee Martin's hearing room. Do you want to take us inside and introduce us to her?
Sure. We have 19 different referee hearing rooms. This is one of them. They're all very similar. This is Referee Elisa Martin. Right now, most of our hearings, all of our hearings, in fact, are being held on Zoom. But when times were more normal, we had all of our referee staff here in the building conducting child support, custody, and parenting time hearings right here in an office like this. We also have 2 special enforcement dockets that just do child support enforcement. They've had to respond to this COVID crisis by being a little bit more creative about how we do that. We used to have great big cattle call type of child support enforcement hearings, but now we're having to do things a little bit differently because we can't have so many people in the building. So we're doing the best we can with that and trying different protocols. We're calling people, texting, we're searching databases to find out information and kind of just doing the best we can to keep our orders all in compliance.
Referee, if you'd like to introduce yourself and kind of explain what it is, what your role is here.
My name is Elisa Martin. I've been a referee here for 19 years. And what I do is I handle child support, custody, and parenting time issues prior to them appearing before the judge. And I make recommendations on all 3. And if necessary and there are objections, they then go before the judge to be heard.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you both for your time. So as we exit the FOC building, that concludes today's tour of the Oakland County Courthouse complex. On behalf of all the staff here at Oakland County, I want to thank you for joining us and stay safe.